Hello, we're in the offices of the government of Armenia, where I am joined by the Prime Minister of Armenia, Nikol Pashinyan. Prime Minister, thank you very much for being our guest. Now, 2 years ago, you came to power on a wave of euphoria, the Velvet Revolution in Armenia. People had extraordinarily high hopes. How much do you feel that those hopes are in danger of being dashed by this eruption of conflict in Nagorno-Karabakh?
Of course, war is a grave thing. And speaking about hopes in time of war is not too easy. But, you know, this war is something that I compare to a terrorist attack. Why do I call this a terrorist attack? For the simple reason that for many years Azerbaijan has been cultivating anti-Armenian hate, preaching hate, instilling hate in its own society towards anything which is Armenian and anyone who is Armenian.
In the context of what you were saying about the Azeri government encouraging hatred of Armenians, how do you think the Armenian people ought to feel about the Azeri people? How do you feel about the Azeri people as contrasted with the Azeri government?
I think that the people of Azerbaijan are hostage to a dictatorial government. Armenians have always been a convenient enemy image for Aliyev's dictatorial rule. For him to be able, with that, to bypass the problems of democracy, freedoms, human rights, freedom of expression, the low living standards, the absence of freedom of expression. Look at the current situation. In Azerbaijan today, the social media are strictly blocked, unlike Armenia, where the social media are open and people are communicating.
Do you basically think that the conflict between Armenia and Azerbaijan can't be resolved as long as the current Azerbaijani regime is in place? That's what it sounds like.
Well, you see, it depends on what you mean by resolved. In reality, this conflict is not between Armenia and Azerbaijan, it's between Nagorno-Karabakh and Azerbaijan. Simply, considering that the Armenians of Nagorno-Karabakh, as a result of this conflict starting from 1988, are facing an existential threat. Armenia, the people of Armenia, the Armenian people, will back the people of Nagorno-Karabakh. We cannot leave them undefended. That's the whole truth.
I want to ask you also about Turkey's involvement in this conflict. You've been very vocal in criticizing Turkey, and clearly, in terms of Turkey's rhetoric, it's supporting Azerbaijan. But what proof do you have of facts of Turkey's direct involvement?
First of all, this war started as a Turkish-Azerbaijani joint military exercise. It was the result of that joint military exercise, and in August, Turkey moved troops, deployed troops in Azerbaijan, started a joint military exercise. And the military exercise did not practically end up until the launch of the hostilities. Secondly, currently, top Turkish military commanders are in Azerbaijan. They are located in the Azerbaijani armed forces command posts, and they are governing the process. Turkish Foreign Affairs Minister admitted this by posting on Twitter that Turkey is backing Azerbaijan in diplomacy as well as in the battlefield. That was his tweet. I was told he removed the tweet after a while, but that doesn't really change the substance of the matter. If we look at the last 2 months of public statements by Turkey's officials, no doubt will be left that in the first days of the hostilities, top officials of Azerbaijan, including the first vice president of Azerbaijan, publicly expressed gratitude to Turkey for supporting them.
The other power much mentioned in relation to this conflict is Russia. I want to ask you, are you disappointed that you're not getting more support from Russia? Are you hoping for more support from Russia? What's Russia's role in all this?
Russia is a co-chair country in the OSCE Minsk group, just as France and the United States are.
I've heard some people say, though, that Russia is maybe not as keen on supporting Armenia as it might have been before, because Armenia has taken a democratic direction with a government that is more inclined to talk about things like human rights, and that Putin's not your biggest fan.
I don't think that those factors play a role in the conflict or in the escalation, because it is not Russia who started the war, it is Azerbaijan who started the war. And among Azerbaijan's motives, one could be the dictatorial nature of that country, of Azerbaijan.
Now, you know that the Azerbaijani side comes back saying that you're the one who has surprised them by having much less reconciliatory rhetoric about Nagorno-Karabakh or Artsakh than they expected. They thought things would be different after the Velvet Revolution. There would be a chance for peace. Where is the difference between your policy towards Artsakh and the previous pre-revolution governments?
When I assumed the position of the Prime Minister, I proposed a formula for the resolution of the Nagorno-Karabakh conflict. And here is what it sounded like. I said, any solution of the Nagorno-Karabakh conflict has to be acceptable to the people of Armenia, the people of Karabakh, and the people of Azerbaijan. And by always saying that in this enumeration.
But excuse me, that's not a formula, that's a statement of intent that we should achieve a solution that would be satisfactory, but it isn't actually a solution, it's just a statement of a desire to find one.
To address any strategic problem, we first have to settle, we have to get agreement on the concept upon which we seek solution. Without agreeing on the concept, on the framework, we cannot solve any issue. It would be then a collection of chaotic movements. We would need to know in which direction we're going. And by proposing this formula, I proposed that the president of Azerbaijan should accept it. That formula, he should accept that formula, as a result of which we could say that we have a completely different situation in the negotiation process. But the president of Azerbaijan not only failed to respond properly to this, but also said that essentially the Karabakh issue has to be solved in a way that will be acceptable to the people of Azerbaijan.
Only.
Right. He has been saying that the only solution of the Nagorno-Karabakh issue, he said, the only solution of the Nagorno-Karabakh issue has to be only and only within Azerbaijan's territorial integrity. Now, what does that mean? That means going back to the 1988 status quo, which was right before the launch of the conflict.
And how long do you think this is going to go on for? We have martial law in Armenia, mobilization. Are you happy with how that's going? And are you really digging in for a long bout of fighting now?
I've said also that it's the continuation by Turkey of the genocide of Armenians. 100 years later, Turkey has returned to the South Caucasus region to continue the genocide of Armenians. And I want to highlight, it's not just for retaliation against Armenians or for exercising Armenophobia. It's just that Armenians in the South Caucasus are the last obstacle in the way of Turkey and their expansion towards the north, the east, and the southeast.
You really think they want to get rid of Armenia?
I have no doubt about it. It has been Turkey's historic purpose.
This is a NATO member you're talking about.
But I apologize, that member of NATO 2 months ago, 1 month ago, attacked another member of NATO, Greece. Let's look at what Turkey is doing in the Mediterranean Sea, what they're doing in Syria, in Iraq. Turkey is now, today, has a clear objective of reinstating the Turkish Empire. Do not be surprised if that policy succeeds here. Don't be surprised if they attempt to incorporate in that empire not only the Greek islands, but actually expand further towards continental Europe and their territories in continental Europe. If Turkey succeeds in this, then wait for them in Vienna.
So can you see no solution to this other than to mobilize as many people as possible and keep fighting?
What should a people do facing the threat of genocide? Defend themselves. And serious talk of a peaceful resolution will be possible when the terrorists and Turkey leave this region together with their goals. And no one should think that this is so far away from Europe. It is not so far away from Europe. And this is the reason why I say Armenia and Karabakh have become a civilizational front line. And if here Turkey succeeds with its imperialistic policy, wait for them in Vienna.
Well, I think I'm going to have to end it on that rather bleak note, but thank you very much for joining us, Nikol Pashinyan.
No, let's not end on that bleak note.
Okay.
Because I'm sure that civilization will prevail. Civilization cannot but prevail. And the will to live, and people with the right to live, cannot but prevail. There's no doubt that the Armenian people, which have been living on planet Earth for several thousands of years, have the will to live.
Perhaps you'd like to say something to the people of Azerbaijan, who also have the will to live.
Yes.
There's only one thing I can say to the people of Azerbaijan. Ask yourselves, to what extent you know the truth about your own people, about your own governments, about their wealth, about their transactions, and about their objectives. Since 1994, one family is ruling Azerbaijan. That's one family. That's one of the things I mean when I say that this is a civilizational front line. In NagornoKarabakh, for instance, there have been 4 presidents in that same period, 4 different presidents in that period. In Armenia, in the Republic of Armenia, 4 presidents in that period. In Azerbaijan, it's the same family ruling since 1993, actually, not even 94.
Okay, we will have to leave it there. Nikol Pashinyan, Prime Minister of the Republic of Armenia, thank you very much for being our guest.